Welcome back to another episode of Backyard Anything. To any viewers who have come back for the Dune Buggy video, the Dune Buggy is back. And by back, I mean in a new location. For all you original viewers, you know that it was kept at my parents' house. But yesterday we attempted to drive it on the longest trip yet. We attempted to drive it from my parents' house to my house, which is about 35 to 40 miles. It made about 25 miles, 30 miles, and then we lost an exhaust bolt. So we had to shut it down and tow it.
I want to sit there.
You want to sit there? Okay.
Yay.
So I stopped by the store, picked up some new bolts. We're going to bolt the exhaust back on with some Loctite this time. Make sure it will not go running away again. And then the plan is to start painting on the wheels and maybe the front bumper. I'm gonna sand those down or clean those up and paint them. And then I'm not sure where else we're gonna go with it this week. We only have 3 or 4 weeks before the car show, so we got to get it done fast. We're gonna tie back in the exhaust, and then there's a small fuel leak. I think I have a fix for that. We're gonna spray down the engine with degreaser and try and clean it up a little bit. And then I need to do something about our wire management under the hood here, because that's a mess and it's gonna get us into trouble before too long. But other than the exhaust falling out, it actually performed really well. Got it up to 72 miles an hour. Top speed on the highway was 75, so no loss broken. And she performed really good. Didn't get too hot, and yeah. So let's get started. I think the first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and work on the fuel and the exhaust, and then we'll get to working on the wheels. Thanks for joining us. Alright, and with that, the exhaust pipe is reconnected. And now I'm going to go ahead and seal up the fuel leak. I got some fuel grade silicone, so I'm going to disconnect that, unfortunately, which will cause it to drain, again, unfortunately, and then seal up around the connection, let that harden, and then I'll add fuel back to it. Probably a few hours. I think it only calls for like an hour or two. We'll give it a few hours, let that dry, and then we're going to go ahead and start pulling off the wheels. I'm going to start on the front ones because they're actually rusty and kind of black. The back ones are actually silver, so we can leave them silver for now if we need to, but pull the black ones off or the front ones off and clean them up. So this little connection is actually the problem. You see, it's supposed to be molded directly into this and sealed in, but the seal came out a long time ago, and so it just slips out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert it just a little bit, spray it all down with a bunch of degreaser, clean the degreaser off, and then put some silicone around all this and force it back in there, and then let that harden before I add fuel back to it. Now that it's worked a little while, hit it with a shop towel to wipe off a lot of that dirt and grime, especially where the silicone is supposed to mate, which is over here. You want to make sure you get that really cleaned up. And then, oh, your battery's about to die. You're gonna have to change out your battery. And then we're gonna hit it with another rag of alcohol. So 91% alcohol. Again, rub it on, most specifically where that connection is. And then I'm going to rub it also on the little brass piece I pulled out. Alright, so the brass piece was cleaned up with alcohol, and then I got just black gasket maker. It's rated for engines, so it shouldn't be an issue. And then I'm going to cut the end off of the gasket maker to the smallest size, and I'm going to just make a bead all the way around the brass. Now you can add more to the end of it later, We may add more to the end of it in a little bit, but right now I'm just gonna slide in there, and then I'm gonna grab my screwdriver and probably some pliers or something, and I'm gonna try and just scoot it in there until it presses in there a ways. Alright, and with that, the fuel leak is hopefully sealed. It does say to wait 24 hours. Ain't nobody got time for that. So we're gonna leave it like this, let it start hardening and stuff. I'm gonna put a little bit of gasket material out on a piece of plastic so I can see kind of when it really does harden. I'm hoping to be able to drive it to work in the morning, honestly, and be able to basically test it out a little bit. Next up, we're gonna start on the front wheels. Now, y'all have seen me pull wheels off a few times now, so I'm not gonna bore y'all with that. I'll see y'all in a few minutes after the wheels are already pulled off, or at least one of them is pulled off, and then I'll show you how we're gonna clean them up and paint them. It's gonna be a fun little project, I think. Well, boys and girls, we ran into a problem. And I knew it was gonna be a problem, because I already knew what was happening. I was just trying to avoid it as long as possible. Unfortunately, that time has come. The wheel bearing is shot. Completely done for. It's just in chunks in there. So I'm gonna have to call around, see if I can find anybody who has those. Probably have to order them online. I usually do because of what it is. But we can still paint. So the video will still be on painting this week. While I try and figure out how to get some bearings in. And then we get to swap out some bearings. I'll probably do both front ones because we're here. Why not? As far as I know, there's no issues with the back ones. I've had those off a couple of times with no issues. So front ones get replaced, possibly on both sides. But still painting this week. Alright, so O'Reilly's coming through for us. They're gonna order us 2 inners and 2 outers for the front so that I can replace both of those. And they're shipping them in and getting them here tomorrow afternoon. Really accelerating what I thought was gonna happen, which was wait a week or two to get some from online. Luckily, we managed to get that order put in and accelerate the project, so we'll be back in no time. The good news is, now the silicone around the fuel pump has enough time to solidify properly, because I can't run it for a few days, so why even reconnect it? So I'm gonna go ahead and let that harden, clean it up maybe a little bit more before I reconnect the hose. But until then, let's get back to these wheels. Alright, start the painting process. You want to remove all the old rust, old dirt, and old paint, whatever you can get off. I just have a cheap set of wire brushes here from Harbor Freight. I'm going to put those in a drill and just zap the thing basically as much as I can possibly get off. Then I'll come in with some soapy water, wash everything off, and then come in with some alcohol and do a deep clean, make sure I get everything off. Then primer and paint. I have etching primer. We'll do 3 or 4 coats of it, and then we'll come back in with black paint, do 3 or 4 coats of that on the tire itself. Alright, so I'm still sanding out the back side, which is actually originally the front side. My grandfather flipped them around to gain clearances on the Dune Buggy. But I found the original Volkswagen logo and the original stamps as I'm going through. It's definitely getting a lot cleaner, as you can tell. There's a ton of crap in there. But I'll catch you whenever it's finished. Alright, now that both sides are cleaned up, I'm going to go in with basically just wet rags and wipe up all the dust on the outside, get as much of that off as I can, and then come in with rubbing alcohol and really clean off any dirt or grime or grease that might be on there still, and then we'll be able to start painting. So I'm not going to make you watch me do that. It's real simple. Rags, wipe, done. Alright. So, these are index cards all the way around to help protect the tire. You can also put on tire shine all the way around to protect it. I didn't. I do recommend deflating your tire so that you can get the index cards a little bit further in. Now we're going to go in with the self-etching primer, and we're going to do light, even coats. Alright, already primed the other side. I'm going to show you how to do this one. It's really easy. You want thin, light ones. We're going to go with several passes. Just really light on the first one. Give that time to kind of set, and then we'll go back in. Each time it'll get a little darker until it's finally ready for actual paint. A couple minutes later, here we go. Rotate again, and now that the primer has started to harden, we're going to give it just a couple more minutes. Make sure it gets real good and hard, usually about 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll come in with the spray paint. Same spray paint's the same way. Little coats, 3 to 5 passes to get it fully coated. It is a little harder on these because of how deep the rim itself is, but not too bad. Alright, now just let it dry and should be good to go. I even managed to keep the VW symbol and all the codes on there, so as long as it comes out looking good, that'll be awesome. Although that goes on the inside, unfortunately, but you know, it's what it is. Alright guys, so I've got one wheel fully finished, one wheel painted but no drum painted, and then the other two still need to be painted on both the wheel and the drum. The back two should be really easy since they're basically just need to be cleaned up and then painted. But yeah, threw on a little tire shine and boom. It shows up a little brighter on camera, the red does, but I think it looks really good, honestly. I really like how it came out. As long as, you know, rocks and stuff don't chip the paint, it'll stay looking pretty classy, I think. Alright, I did reconnect the gas line over here and then tried to start it so I could pick up my daughter at school, and it wouldn't start. I don't know if it's a cheap carburetor or what, but in my attempts to get it started, I ended up burning up the starter, so new starter is going to be put in. I actually have a spare at the house because I thought it had starter issues before. So at my parents' house, I'm going to steal the starter from there and bring it over here. And we did get new wheel bearings inside here. I'll show you how we managed to get that done. We weren't really sure exactly what we were doing at first. We know now it took us a ridiculous amount of time to do it the first time. It was like 6 hours or something. I know, it's crazy. Shouldn't have taken so long, but we were learning as we went. Alright, I plan on painting the bumper this week. Really getting it all cleaned up, painting it black. I'll probably pull this off and get it cleaned up and paint it as well. And then I want to go ahead and swap this over to a removable system so we can take this off completely. We need to go ahead and repaint the whole thing. And then I'm buying some outdoor leather to replace the seat, at least the seat bottom, because that's trashy, and then probably the seat top, and then we'll fix the loose bracketry and stuff. And then we got to paint the floor on the back. I might end up replacing this plywood. It's kind of warpy and lifted. And then need to paint the box, which also probably honestly needs to be redone too, but I don't know. And then of course paint the engine and the exhaust pipes. If there's anything that you would love to see done to this thing, let me know. I don't know where all I want to take it. I know I wanted to make it amazing, or more amazing than it already is. I think a lot of you have some insight and ideas that would help turn this into a super amazing thing, like award winning possibly. I don't know if they have any awards in the Taylor Car Show, but it'd be cool to win one in this thing in its first show ever. If you like this video, be sure to let me know. Like, subscribe, comment. Any feedback you have is great, even on the editing, because I'm very new to editing, still learning. So it'd be great to have all of your insight. If you hated something or like something, let me know. I can either do more of it or hopefully do less of it. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.